Hello, all lovely ladies. It's all ladies today. It's usually all ladies. Maybe it's because I work primarily with ladies. Okay, here we go. Let's start. It's 3 minutes past, so I'm just going to get my notes. Bear with me. Where is it? There it is. I'm going to put them on the side. Everyone who's been here before, you know that you can put things in the Q&A, and I will get to that later on, but I get really confused by the chat. So now that I know that you can hear me and obviously see me, it's a good thing. I will just not look at that until we're done. So people who know me, you also know that I get really sidetracked sometimes because I get so excited. So I need to have my notes up and ready. So here we go. Welcome everyone. Today we are going to talk about how to get things done. No. This is so much fun. I have so many things and I pre-wrote it, and yeah, you can see, even when I'm prepared, I take up last time's notes. Isn't that amazing? Let's just fix it. Do something, that's always nice. Here we go. How to get things done. Welcome. Let's start again. Okay, so before we start, let me introduce myself, because I know that a lot of you know me already, but a lot of you don't. So my name is Anna Wallner. I'm primarily a life coach for Swedish women, and I help them create their visions through brain management and my 5-step to your vision program. So that's what I do. I'm also the host of the Life Coach podcast with Anna Wallner, it's called. It's a Swedish podcast for you who aren't Swedish. Sorry about that. It's Sweden's biggest podcast for women when it comes to life coaching. And I'm so proud. The numbers are just growing like crazy pants. So I am super excited about that, and all the sort of connection it's creating and all of the things that you're telling me about it and all of the things. It's just lovely. So here at the Life Coach University, I run talks about how to create your vision, no matter what it is, about, I think, twice a month, usually. So the next time is, I think I wrote it down, 26th of April. And you can actually go and sign up already, because you know that the information about this one came out pretty late. So if you want to join the next one on the 26th, just go up to the lifecoachuniversity.com and get your place already, and then you'll get the notifications and all of the things. So for you who haven't been here before, this is the Life Coach University. So the Life Coach University is a pay it forward platform, which means that everyone who teaches here, we're all coaches, and we do this for free because we wanted to reach more people. So the only thing that we ask of you is to pay this forward in any shape or form that you feel comfortable with to someone else. That's what we want. And if you like this sort of webinar style and love learning like we do, there's so many different topics up on the Life Coach University that me and my coach colleagues have every week. And the next talk is actually today already. So it's 12 p.m. Eastern time, and now it's 8 Eastern time. You can do the conversion, 12 p.m. Eastern time. And it's Jody Jackson, and she is a manifestation coach, and she will talk about creating boundaries, if I'm not mistaken. So you don't want to miss that. So you can on another talk today. It's just not running away from us. I don't know. That happens to me all the time. Today, this is what we're going to do. I am going to talk for about 30 minutes. And I always say this, and I very often go a little bit over. But then we will have Q&A, so you can ask me things. So while I'm doing the talking, you can write in the Q&A box that you find down here somewhere, and you can ask your questions, and I will get to them at the end. Okay? And we will definitely stop on the hour. So if you're in Sweden, we will stop at 3 o'clock max. Sometimes we're a little bit early, but I don't think we will today because we have a lot to cover. So I hope that is super clear for everyone. And is there anything else I want to say before I start? No, let's just dig in. So if you've been following me for a long time, you know that I love getting things done. And I love structure because it's something that resonates very well with me. But what I've noticed with myself and with my women that I coach is that you can have a freaking awesome structure, but if you don't have the mindset behind it, it doesn't matter, actually. And now you might think that I'm a crazy person to say this, but I am definitely going to show you my system. I'm going to teach you my system. But before we do that, I want to talk about the problem. Like, why don't we get things done? Why are you all here? Well, you are all here because you perceive that you don't get things done, right? That's why you're here. So you want to fix it, and let's fix it. Let's do that. But the problem isn't what you think. The problem you think, I would guess, is that you don't have a good system enough, that you are not disciplined enough, etc., etc. That is not the problem. So me, myself, and also the women that I coach, they very, very often say that, oh, I feel so behind, or my inbox is overwhelming me, or I don't have enough time, or I should do more. That's such a common one. I should do more. Or I have this list, but I never get anywhere because I tick everything off, or like I tick things off really quickly, but there's always things that adds on to my list. And also there is a lot of women telling me that they don't have time for themselves. And when they take time for themselves, they feel guilty. I have been there so much. I can't even start telling you. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. But the thing is that when we think all of these things, that we don't have enough time, there's always so many things to do, the things are overwhelming us, we don't know where to start, I've done all of these things, but I should have done more, this is not enough, all of those things, when we think those things, and I'm saying think those things because that's what we do. You might tell me, if you haven't been here a long time, that, no, but Anna, that's just true. No, it's not true. And I'm going to prove to you why it isn't. But when we think all of these things, how does that make us feel? We feel, or when I say we, I mean myself and my women, and maybe you too, we feel behind, we feel stressed out, we feel distracted, we feel anxious, overwhelmed, we feel guilty, we feel frustrated, and we feel like we're failing, right? So if you sort of recognize yourself in this scenario, I just want to say there is nothing wrong with you. There is nothing wrong with you or your brain or anything like that. And this is why I feel so passionately that I have to talk about this first before we get into the system, because I meet women all the time that tell me these things, and they want to get their hands on my system because many people know I have a system, and they think that's going to fix it. And it won't. It won't fix it if you don't fix the underlying problem. And the reason why we think all of these things that I just said and feel all of these things, it's because of what we've been taught. We talk about it as socialization. So if you've been brought up as a woman or socialized and raised as a woman, we have internalized that we are valuable when we help others, that we should put other people's needs first, and that if we're productive and do things, it's like our value is in our results. I'm not saying that it's this case for everyone and always, but a lot of people can, or a lot of women can sort of relate to what I'm talking about. So the problem is that when we think that we are behind, or that our inbox is overwhelming, or that we don't have enough time, or that it's not good enough, or that we should have done more, or that we should cater for other people first, we fuel ourselves with emotions of stress, anxiousness, overwhelm, guilt, frustration, and failure. And if you've been around me, you know that I talk about that our emotions, that's what fuels us. And when we have stress and anxiousness and overwhelm and guilt and frustration and anything along those lines fueling us, what do we do? Well, I would say very often we doubt ourselves. We don't trust ourselves to make the right decision on what we should prioritize, what we should do first. Very often we procrastinate. Super, super common. And we go into perfectionistic tendencies, and we don't prioritize, and we people please. We sort of seek validation in what other people think that we've done well or not well, or all of these things. We don't put up boundaries for ourselves. When I'm talking about that, we don't take care of ourselves. We always put ourselves in the last room. We sort of put ourselves out in the margins of our life. I have a whole podcast episode about that. So another thing that we don't do when we have all of these negative emotions fueling us is that we can't focus, and we burn ourselves out. There is a reason why women burn themselves out in a much higher percentage than men. I'm not saying that men is not working hard, but the problem with women and the socialization part, it's such a hard word, is that we don't only do a lot of things, and men do too. This is not a vice versa thing. But what we also do is that we spend so much energy of thinking about all of these things that we should have done, that we haven't done, that we should have done by now. And we start beating ourselves up about it. And that takes so much energy. And that's why I'm so extremely passionate about helping women to control their brains, so their brains don't control them. And I see that some of you here are clients of mine. You know this so well, right? So the core issue that we're talking about here is why we don't get things done. Because why we don't get it done, it's not because we don't have a system. It's because we have all of these thoughts that produce these negative feelings that fuel us, and then we don't get things done. Then we procrastinate, then we can't focus, then we doubt ourselves, then we can't make decisions, then we can't prioritize. So that is the problem. And I realized that you all lovely ladies came here to get my system, and I will give you the system, but I just gave you a whole other sort of can of worms that you didn't want. And I'm very, very sorry about that. But if we don't clean up our thoughts, no system in the world will ever work. I'm sorry. That's just my thing. Of course, a system can always help you, but you won't get the relief of being in control if you don't control your mind first. So we're definitely going to get into the how now. Okay. So it's because I love you. I wanted to tell you all of these things first before we go into the system. It's not because I'm evil, I promise. Okay. Oh, no, you don't see that, right? It says, never mind. It says 4 steps. I'm sure you can see that. All right, here we go. So I'm just going to go through these first really quickly, and then we'll dig in, okay? So the first step of getting things done is stop using your brain as a storage place. Your brain is way too valuable to be used as a filing cabinet. Use it to create things instead. That's my absolute belief. And number 2 is that we need to decide what outcome we want. So often we're completely down in the rabbit hole and down in the nitty-gritty, doing things and crossing things off, so we don't lift our gaze to actually decide and prioritize what's important. So that's super important. And number 3, when you've prioritized what you want, you need to schedule what you want to get done on your calendar, and you need to protect it. I'm very serious, ladies. And number 4 is to change your self-talk when it doesn't go as planned. And this is a little bit connected to what we talked about in the beginning, right? Because if you don't change your self-talk when things don't go as planned, because it won't in the beginning, you won't stay on track. I promise you. Okay, so let's go a little bit more into detail. And I teach, all of the details I teach to my one-on-one clients, and everything doesn't fit here because it takes too long. I have a whole module on how to do this in my program, but let's go through the core. All right. So the first thing you need to do is stop using your brain to store things. So right now, if you don't have a system at all, my guess is that your brain doesn't trust you right now. So it tries to save you by remembering random things and serving them up to you very randomly indeed. Maybe you've experienced that. This happened to me at least several times. You walk in the store, you can't, for the love of goodness gracious, remember all the things that you had on your mental list. But all of a sudden, your brain tells you that you need to do something completely different that you can't do at that particular time. Maybe you need to send an email to your boss. And you're like, thank you, brain. that was helpful. Not really, because it doesn't have a system. The brain doesn't have a system. So it just sort of, you try to remember something and it just pops up something else. It goes like, no, here you go. Completely useless. So it just reminds you of random things. So what we want to do is create a system outside of our brains. So we don't need to take up mental space in the brain to remember things. Because the brain isn't made to remember things. Maybe you've read that in the working memory of the brain, you can remember at most 3 things, top of mind. So if you're not like one of those artists that are supposed to remember like all the decimals of pi, whatever it's called, then don't use your brain to remember things. It's a waste of energy and it's a waste of space when you have systems outside of you that work so much better. I'm just saying. So let's create a system for you to have all of your things in. So to be able to do that, you want to do a brain dump of all the things that you have around you. And now I'm saying all the things. The first time you do this, it takes quite a lot of time. So my suggestion to you, if you want to do this, and I guess you do since you're here, take an hour, and if you can't take an hour, take half an hour to start with, and just write things that come to mind of things you need to do. So what you want to do first is just let your brain open up and just get everything down onto paper. Just write. And when your brain goes like, no, I don't know anything else, then start to move around where you are right now. If that's in your home or if it's at work, it doesn't matter, because you will have to do this in different locations. So move around, because when you see things, you will remember more things to do, I'm sure. So when I did this the first time, I was at home. So I started to move around the house, and you need to bring your pen and paper and you just write things down. And then for me, it was like, I need to clear out the closet. I need to sort all the kids' toys. I need to clear the basement. I need to, whatever, all of the things. I need to sort my chaos drawer in the kitchen, all of the things. And when you have that, this is a little bit tedious, but it will help you so much. I'm not kidding. At this point, a lot of people get extremely stressed out because they think they have more things to do. And I just want to say, you don't get more things to do just because you write them down. They're still in your brain. So the only thing you want to do is get them out of your brain. And when you do this, and when you're done, when you sort of come over the stress hump, you will feel so much relief. I promise. So much. Things will get so clear. You will also probably get freaking stressed when you look at your list, but we're going to handle that in a minute. Don't worry. So what you do is that you do your office, if you have one, you do your home, you do all of the rooms. If you have, I don't know, a summer vacation place, you do it there. You do it in your car. If you have a boat, I don't know, you get it. All of the locations that you visit on a frequent basis and that you're in charge over, together with, I don't know, someone else maybe, but where you have thoughts about, I should fix things here, write all of those things down. And when I've done this with my women, they can have anything from like 50 to 300 things on that list. I'm not joking. There can be a lot of things, all from like, I need to write this email to I need to paint my house. It can be all of the things. So just write everything down. Then when you have this master list, let's call it, you need to put it into some kind of system. I have, of course, I teach this. I use a certain app in my phone, but I would say preferably put it into some kind of list app in your phone so you have it at your fingertips. You can have a list if you're one of those people that like to write, you can absolutely do that, but you won't probably have that with you all the time. And it's super important that you do. So when things come up, because they will, like, oh, I need to buy milk, then you write it in your list. And some of these lists you will frequently use, and some of them you might just use not that often. But when you have this system and you actually write up things and you cross things out sort of along the way, your brain will start to trust you. It will start to trust the system, and it will sort of stop trying to control or remember things. And it's so good. I can't even start to tell you how good this is. So that is how you stop using your brain to store things, because it will just give you so much mental space. I can't even start to tell you. It's absolutely fantastic. So when you have all of those things on your master list, you need to prioritize. So what you need to do is that you have to look at all of these things and ask yourself, okay, what's important now? Because most of these things will not be important now, I promise. And also, when you look at the list, ask yourself, what are the things that are time sensitive? So the things that are important now and the things that are time sensitive, those are the things we're going to focus on now. So the rest of the things, like cleaning out the garage, painting the house, or whatever, just let them be on the list and do a mental decision that you're just not going to do anything about that right now. I had one woman, she was like, yeah, every time I walk past my, she had a sewing room. That was her biggest hobby. And she had like so much things in there. Every time she went into it or past it, her brain said, you need to clean that out, because she thought she needed to. And it was on her list, and she decided that it wasn't important now and it wasn't time sensitive. So she could just tell her brain every time she walked past, she was just like, yeah, I know, but I'm not going to do it now. I've decided I'm not going to do it now. And it's so good. Shifting from like, yes, I've chosen not to do this now, instead of letting your brain sort of hackle you that you haven't done it yet. So good. So think about what's important now, what's time sensitive, and the rest, you just decide not to do anything about it right now. Okay? So number 3 is that you want to put everything that you want to get done on your calendar, and you need to protect it. And now people think that I'm very radical. I don't know. But it's true. If it's not on your calendar, your brain will tell you that you can do it later. I promise it will. So every week, this is what I do. I do a planning session, and I take the things that I've decided that I want to prioritize, and I schedule it on my calendar. And in the beginning, I just want to say, don't be over optimistic. It's very easy. A lot of women that follow me are complete perfectionists, and so was I. I am recovering. I'm a recovering perfectionist. So it's so easy to get super optimistic and sort of plan back to back. In the beginning, don't do that. You will just paint yourself into a corner. So don't be over optimistic in the beginning. So the first thing you're going to plan, this might sound crazy pants, you plan you first. you plan when you're going to sleep and when you're going to recuperate, and your time for you. That's the first thing you're going to plan. Okay? This is a little bit upside down, but it's the most important thing, because if you don't function, if you don't get the rest you need, you won't work. You won't do anything. So taking care of you is the most important thing you can do, because if you don't function, you can't take care of anyone else either. And you've heard the stewardesses on the plane, they say, put your mask on first before you help anyone else. Because if you fainted on the floor, you're no use to anyone. Not to yourself, not to anyone else. I'm not saying that you need to be useful for anyone else, but a lot of my women, they go like, yeah, but then I can't do anything for anyone. No, exactly. So it's sort of a workaround to get you to take care of yourself. But anyhow, so that's what you want to do. You want to take time for you first. Then when you've done that, then you plan your work time, family time, and everything else that you've prioritized according to your priorities. Because everybody has different priorities. Not everybody has the same. And all of the things you want to be sure, like these things are really important that I get done this week, you put them on your calendar. Because if they're not on your calendar, you can't be sure that you'll do them. You can't even be sure if you put them on the calendar. Absolutely. But decide when you're going to do them and how long you're going to let it take. And that last bit is a little bit tricky in the beginning, because, you know, like, I don't know how long it's going to take to clean the house. But if you give yourself a day, it will take a day, I promise. So just try to set a time. So then what you need to do when you put everything on the calendar, you need to get real about your time and what you can do with it. So if you set an hour, you need to try to do that thing in an hour. You need to take out all of the distractions and you need to focus on that time. And one of the things that I do, and I also teach my ladies to do, is to start the day, and this is perfect when if you have a normal job, but like an office type of job, that you have like projects to finish and all of the things. Set a 2-hour window or 90 minutes. 90 minutes is usually what I say, I think. Take 90 minutes, shut everything else off, and just do one thing that you've focused on. Start with that, your workday, with 90 minutes on something that you really need to get done. So important. You will just, that thing alone can sort of revolutionize your whole day. I'm not kidding. It's crazy what you can get done in 90 minutes. Just try it. So when you have all of these things on your calendar that you want to get done, you plan them in, then your last job is to change the self-talk in your brain when it doesn't go as planned. Because it won't in the beginning, I'm sorry to tell you. And if you beat yourself up for not doing it perfectly and not sort of doing all of the things that you set on time, you will feel discouraged and you will feel like a failure and you won't do it again. I promise. So what we want to do when things doesn't go as planned is to tell ourselves, okay, but what worked? What worked in all of this planning? And then you can go to, okay, but what didn't work? Maybe you planned too tightly. Maybe you forgot that you were going to pick your kid up in the middle of everything. And you planned sort of a meeting that it was just going to take an hour and it took 1.5. Okay, next time you might need to plan some buffer time. So what worked, what didn't work, and what can you do differently next time you plan? So good. So we are not going to beat ourselves up. I'm telling you again, when you've planned and things don't go according to your plan, don't beat yourself up. You're not allowed to do that. Instead, tell yourself what went right, what might not have gone as planned, what went wrong, and how can you do things differently? That's how we want to do it. That's how we learn and how we constrain from not beating ourselves up. That's what we do. So, as I've said, if you don't, I think I wrote that down even. If you don't fix the voices in your head, not a system on earth will get you to do things the way you want and feel good about it and feel in control. I talk from experience. I had a super good system, but it didn't really work all the way out until I changed the way I talk to myself. When I became my own best friend and I changed the inner talk, everything changed. And I got more productive and more in control than ever. And I don't care what you do or what you get done in a day. My only interest is that you feel good and that you get the shit done that you want to get done. That's my interest. That's what I want. So one thing I want to tell you though, is that this won't fix itself. Things never do. Just because you've attended this webinar and you've probably taken notes or something like that, and you've got this system, things won't magically fix themselves. Because the only way we change things is with time, effort, and money, actually. So I just want to say that you can for sure change this yourself. Of course you can. You're resourceful, you can do it, but it will take you a lot of time and effort because you will have to do everything on your own. You will have to keep yourself accountable for doing all of these things. You will have to make sure that you don't beat yourself up. You need to control your own mind, and you need to teach yourself how to do all of these things. It will take trial and error and time and effort over and over again. It will. I don't say you can't do it. I know you can do it, but it will probably take a little bit longer time. That's fine. You can, of course, get help. That's what I do. That will cost a little bit of money, but it will save you lots of time and lots of effort because someone else will give you the tools and keep you accountable and help you clear up those thoughts and give you all the systems and everything you need. So in doing that, and that's why I say it takes time, money, and effort, because of course we know that it takes time and money or time and effort, because it does, everything does if you want to change something. But if you put money into the game, you can actually save a lot of time and effort. And the only question is whether you want to do that. If you want to save time and effort, if you don't, then just go and do it because you can do it. There is no question about it. So this, I just wanted to say this so we don't sort of pretend that this will just fix everything, right? So now, I'm just gonna check time. We're good on time, so good. So what you have now is that you have the knowledge of why you don't get things done now, right? We talked about that. All the thoughts and all the feelings that are not serving you and that makes you not be in control and not doing the things you want to do and get things done the way you want, right? And I would say also that it's so many people or so many women come to me and they think that the problem is that they don't get things done. But the problem is not only that, the problem is that we feel like shit most of the time, right? There's so many women that come to me and they just like, I feel constantly stressed, or I feel constantly inadequate, or I feel constantly frustrated. And we don't want to feel like that. And we shouldn't have to feel like that. And I know that we don't have to feel like that. I used to feel like that. Now I don't. And it's priceless. It's the best ever. I can't even start to tell you how good it is when you get all the tools and you can control your own emotional life. So the reason why we don't get the emotional life we want, and also the productivity that we want and the control that we want, is because we are thinking things that don't serve us. It's basically that easy. And now you also know what you need to change to get this done. You need to, yeah, of course, have the system, but you also need to change that inner voice. That's the big job. I'm not going to pretend it's not a big job, but you can definitely do it. I do it with women all the time. And also, you know now how you can actually get things done and stay on top of it all and be in control. So now, my friend, it's up to you to decide if you want to change and if you want to make things happen. And also, if you want to make things happen in the way I suggest. This is, of course, not the only way. There are several ways that you can do this. But just want to say, even though you can use different systems, because you can, that's not the issue. You will still have to change the self-talk. That's the critical part. You have to change the self-talk. Otherwise, no system in the world will work for you. So that's the way the cookie crumbles, right? That's what I have for you, my ladies. I'm going to put the Q&A over here. And we're going to, so if you have any questions, I'm going to start from the top, and then you can just put in any other questions if you have any. I'm sorry if I got very emotional and carried away, but it's like, I have this is my mission, to make sure that you feel the way you want and that you get where you want, that you can make your visions come true. And it doesn't matter if that's feeling a different way, or changing your job, or starting a new company, or losing weight, or whatever. I don't care. I can help you with all of those things, but I want you to live the life you want to live. That's my only interest. So this is one of the things. I mean, when it comes to planning and producing and being in control and all of those things, this is just a small part. There's so many other things we want to do. Okay, so let's go to the Q&A. Anonymous writes, so do you plan everything every week? No, definitely not. I don't plan everything every week. I only plan the things that I really want to get done. A lot of things for me now runs on routine. I have a steady routine, and this might sound so boring, but I have a steady routine that I've done for such a long time. So I more plan the things within my week that I really want to get done. So another anonymous writes, how long does it take for you to plan? It actually doesn't take, it takes maximum an hour, maximum. Very often it takes much less, but I've also lately, I've been in the prioritization, like the question of how do I want to do this first, or do I want to this, can this wait for next week? What is more sort of time sensitive? Because since I'm my own, I run my own company, my situation might be a little bit different. So it's like, what do I want to create? Is this more important than this? Do I want to do this first rather than this? So that takes a little bit extra time when I'm going into those cycles. Okay, here we go. It sounds extremely boring to plan like that. Oh, Gaia, I love you. Well, personally, I don't think it's boring to get everything done that I want. I don't think that's boring, but I guess maybe your question is that it sounds that like everything is on schedule and that it doesn't leave any room for being spontaneous, right? And I just want to say that I plan the things I want to get done. Then I plan like big blocks of time where I can just be spontaneous. For example, I very seldom do any planning for my weekends. Sometimes I do. I mean, this upcoming weekend, we're going to take care of our boat. So then that weekend is planned. But apart from that, no, spontaneous usually happens in the Wallner family during the weekends and evenings. So it's not boring, it's fun. And it's lovely to know that I can create anything I want with this structure and taking care of my brain. So that's good. Okay, more questions. Do you plan your family life in detail too? No, I don't. I block off time. So I don't have any clients after 3:45. Then I take care of my kids and do, laundry and all of those things and play with the kids and homework and all of the things. So no, I don't, within that family time, I don't do like, I'm going to put a laundry on here, I'm going to do this. No, I don't. Then things just sort of work out like in any other household, I guess. Where am I here? What about reoccurring tasks? Reoccurring tasks, I guess it can be any, I don't know exactly what you mean with reoccurring tasks. Personally, I have reoccurring tasks like my clients, appointments, I have that. And those just, I put them in my calendar and they're just reoccurring. So when I plan my week, a lot of the things, let's just say that the holes I need to fill with whatever I want aren't that big, which makes it very easy because I have all of those things that are reoccurring. But I also have, I don't know if you mean with reoccurring tasks, like I think laundry, that's watering plants, cleaning, all of those things, they are also reoccurring. And for me, I've just simplified it by putting it on certain days. So I water my plants on Thursdays, for example, just so I won't forget. And that's what I do. Okay, what's the time? It's 10 to, we're so good on time, friends. So good. Okay, do you have any more questions? I don't see any more questions. So if you don't have any more questions, we're gonna round up. Okay, good stuff. So thank you so much. It's been so lovely to host you, all of you. I'm so glad to see so many people here. It's so exciting. And before we go, I want to remind you that the it's Life Coach University. I always want to say but when you, oh, I have it here. Right, yeah, here. So if you want to book another PIF talk with me or my wonderful coach friends, you go to the lifecoachuniversity.com, not the, now I said it again, lifecoachuniversity.com. Thank you, Lotta. Yeah, and you can book everything for free. You can share it with the world. And with that said, think about how you want to pay it forward to someone else and out in the world. And if you want to get a hold of me, excuse me, if you want to learn how to control your mind, how to change your inner world and control your feelings and all of the things, bye, Elizabeth. You can go to my website, annawallner.se. You can also find me on Instagram, Anna Wallner Life Coach, and you can follow me there. And you can listen to the Life Coach podcast, Life Coach podden med Anna Wallner in Swedish. And that's it. I'm so glad that you were here. Thank you so, so much. And just reach out if you need me. You know where to find me now. And I'll talk to you later and have a smashing week. Bye.